Hi, my name is Omar Gonzalez.
And my name is Alexa Moked. Our section is 11C.
We will be presenting a review on the law of cosines from the trigonometry and vectors unit in pre-calculus.
The law of cosines is used to find an angle or side measure in a triangle depending on specific conditions. The common equation is a squared equals b squared plus c squared minus 2 times b times c times the cosine of a. But it can be altered depending on the value we're trying to find. Alternative equations are shown in the image for b and c.
When do we know when to use the law of cosines? The law of cosines can be used when we have a SSA triangle, side angle, side triangle. The equation allows you to solve for a missing side length. Given all three sides, the equation can be rearranged to solve for an angle.
As mentioned, we can use the equation to solve for an angle. This equation would become cosine of A equals b squared plus c squared minus a squared over 2 times b times c. There are also versions for b and c.
We will be moving on to examples for the applications of the law of cosines. First, we have an SAS triangle. Side A is 15, side C is 20, side B is 124 degrees. Say we want to find the measurement of side B. The first thing you would have to do is find what equation you are using. Since we are looking for side B, we were using b squared equals a squared plus c squared minus 2 times a times b times the cosine of angle B. Next, you plug in the numbers you already know. So you have b squared equals 15 squared plus 20 squared minus 2 times 15 times 20 times cosine of 124 degrees. You simplify this and you'd get b squared equals 225 plus 400 minus negative 335.516. Simplify this further and you get b squared equals 960.5. You do the square root to both sides and you get b equals 31.
The next triangle is an SSS triangle. Side X is 8, side Y is 6, and side Z is 9. Say we want to find angle X. The equation you would want to use to solve this problem is the cosine of x equals y squared plus z squared minus x squared over 2 times y times z. Since we know the values for x, y, and z, we can swap them into the equation and we get cosine of x equals 6 squared plus 9 squared minus 8 squared over 2 times 6 times 9. Once you square root it and multiply it out, you get cosine of x equals 36 plus 81 minus 64 over 108. You can simplify the top part of the equation into one number, and you get 53 over 108. Now, since we want x by itself, we need to do the inverse cosine to move the cosine to the other side. Then we get the equation x equals inverse cosine of 53 over 108. Once you plug that in and get the value, you get 60.6 degrees. Besides triangles, applications for the law of cosines includes vectors. As long as you know the angle and two components of the vector, you can find the resultant vector using the law of cosines.
In our last example, we will be working with vectors. The question is, a ship is sailing at a speed of 9 knots at an angle of 130 degrees to a current. The current speed is 4 knots. What is the length of the ship's resultant vector with respect to the current? This is a side angle side triangle with angle A being 50 degrees, side B being 9 knots, and side C being 4 knots. Once again, the first thing we have to do is find out what equation we are using. Since we are solving for side A, we have to use a squared equals b squared plus c squared minus 2 times b times c times cosine of A. Next, you plug in the numbers you already know, and you get a squared equals 9 squared plus 4 squared minus 2 times 9 times 4 times the cosine of 50 degrees. You simplify this and you get a squared equals 81 plus 16 minus 46.3. You further simplify and you get a squared equals 50.7. You get the square root of both sides and you get a equals 7.1 knots. Thank you everybody for listening. The thing we used to create this video are iMovie for editing, which is only available on Mac, To record the video, we use the included screen recording software on MacBooks, which of course is only available on Mac. To make the visual aid, we use Google Slides, which is available on all platforms. And lastly, for the audio, we use the Voice Memos app on iOS. Again, thank you for watching, and I hope you learned more about the law of cosines and now you know how to solve problems using it.